Now, today is the 18th of April, and it's a significant day in Zimbabwe's history as the country celebrates 40 years of independence. On this day, 1980, the lowering of the Union Jack flag marked the end of British rule and the birth of a new nation called Zimbabwe, which, when translated from Shona, it means houses of stones. For most of the new country's history, Robert Mugabe was its longtime leader, and the country's fortunes have, over the decades, have been mixed. To talk to us about the importance of today for Zimbabweans, I'm now joined by Zimbabwe's ambassador to South Africa, His Excellency Mr. David Hamadziripi. Your Excellency, thanks so much indeed for joining us, and congratulations on Zimbabwe's 40 years of independence.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and I want to say good afternoon to your viewers and listeners, and above all, of course, on this day, good afternoon to fellow Zimbabweans. Happy Independence Day. We are 40 today.
Just how significant is this milestone?
Today is the day when we are celebrating the restoration of our dignity as a people, particularly after close to 100 years of settler colonialism and also after a protracted armed struggle. So we are celebrating our independence and freedom, but it is also a day when we pay tribute and homage to the gallant sons and daughters of our country, both living and departed, who contributed selflessly to the achievement of this day.
So 40 years is a long time, 4 decades, and a lot has happened in Zimbabwe over that time. What would you say have been some of the significant milestones in the history?
I would say one of the significant milestones of the past 40 years of our independence has been the land reform program. As you may be aware and your viewers may be aware, land was at the heart of the liberation struggle, and its restoration to the people of Zimbabwe has been a major and significant milestone in our history so far. You must also remember that for the past 20 years of our independence, we have been under sanctions. So some of the things that we had hoped to achieve, some of the economic progress that we had hoped to make has not been achieved so far because the environment has not been that conducive and enabling. But nevertheless, Zimbabwe is a country also that can pride itself for having enjoyed peace in these past years, and certainly peace is one of those attributes that we are going to defend strongly. Similarly, I think we also have a society from a very racially divided society. We have become a non-racial society where we mix and mingle without regard to color, tribe, creed, or region. Beyond that, I think one of the achievements we have made is Zimbabwe has also contributed to the independence and freedom of other countries in this region. For you know very well that for our region, or for us as individual countries, we needed to have a region that is also at peace with itself, a region that was stable, and we are happy that we contributed to that in the past 40 years.
All right, so you talked about land reform, which many will say was a good thing, but perhaps any regrets in terms of how it was done and other mistakes over the 40 years that things could have been done differently?
Certainly. Look, in any human endeavor, there is a striving for perfection, but we may not achieve that perfection. On looking back and making assessments of the land reform program, I would merely wish to point out that you need to look at our land reform program in 2 phases. You have a phase that was carried out from 1980 to 1997, thereabouts, and that is a land reform program that was clearly orderly, which was also very well funded and well planned. But from 2000, when we had the first track land reform, the government did put in place a very well programmed plan. But what we then missed was the necessary funding and support from the international community. And I need not remind you and other viewers that, in fact, at the Lancaster House conference, there were commitments that were made by our then colonizers and other partners that they would fund a land reform program in Zimbabwe, but that did not then take place from 2000 onward.
All right, so many people point to mismanagement, corruption as being huge contributors, and it wasn't just sanctions over time. Will the Zimbabwean authorities put their hand up to those mistakes as well?
Indeed, as you are aware, in the Second Republic, the president has in fact instituted a land audit commission, and that land audit commission is going to come up with the true picture of who owns what land and where what size is, and on that basis will then make the necessary corrections. As you are aware, one of the other issues that has been quite topical when it comes to the land reform program in Zimbabwe has been the fact of that there has been expropriation of the land, and yet there has been no compensation yet. And I emphasize yet, because we accept as a government that there has got to be compensation. Of course, different categories apply. And we have started that process of compensation as an interim measure, but also we are now looking to the long-term arrangements for paying compensation for that land that was acquired for distribution.
All right, so we've run out of time, but perhaps very briefly, if you could just say to the many Zimbabweans who've been writing on social media saying that there's nothing to celebrate on this significant occasion, what would you say to them today and looking forward to the future?
Well, we have a government that has come up with a program that we call Vision 2030. We have a government that has put in place reforms that we are pursuing. What is important, what I would say to Zimbabweans is our country needs all of us. We don't need those who have become professional, we have become just critics. We need to, all of us, get our hands dirty and contribute to the recovery and to the development of Zimbabwe. So again, I would echo what the president has said. We really must preach the gospel of peace, of unity, of harmony, and of hard work and working together. This is what we need to do. Zimbabwe will not be developed purely on the basis of just criticizing and waiting to see the worst happen. We must hope for the best in Zimbabwe, and we have the best in supporting the government's Vision 2030 program and supporting dialogue among Zimbabweans.
All right, Your Excellency, thanks very much indeed for joining us. That was Zimbabwe's Ambassador to South Africa, David Hamadziripi, speaking to us on the occasion of Zimbabwe celebrating 40 years of independence.